Hello everyone and welcome to the coding branch. Today we get to learn something that will benefit everyone who uses a computer. And I'm honestly excited to show you all the shortcuts that I use on a daily basis to save me from performing repetitive tasks. Well, at least they make those tasks a lot shorter, hence the name. Anyways, today I'll be showing you a bunch of useful VS Code shortcuts. If you found this video somehow without knowing what VS Code is, I'll first mention that VS Code is an extremely popular and feature-rich code editor, or IDE if you will. It's made by Microsoft, but runs on Linux, Mac, and of course Windows. I'll be running on Windows today, but the commands will be virtually the same on Mac, just with Mac keys. I'm going to be showing you the most useful commands I use daily, and will try not to bog you down with every VS Code shortcut there is. Honestly, even before getting into programming, I've always enjoyed the effectiveness of using shortcuts on a computer. I've always despised touching the mouse when I didn't need to. And if you do the same, I promise you will be a lot more effective on a computer. And a lot of these basic shortcuts will work on most PC software, so give them a shot in your favorite apps and enjoy saving time all around. Alright, now let's get right into it. Starting off with number 1, if you're in a terminal that knows VS Code is on the machine, you can open a directory with code space period. This will open the entire directory you're in. You can also follow the word code with any file in the current directory and it will open it instead of the entire directory. Although I recommend using the terminal if you're learning the code, if you don't like the terminal, you can open a file in VS Code by using the shortcut Control-O. If you hit Control-K and then Control-O, it allows you to open an entire folder rather than an individual file. You can then save time by not touching the mouse and typing in the first few letters of your directory, then using the arrow keys to pick the right folder. Once you've got VS Code open, we'll learn how to open and close our windows within it. To open your terminal, you hit Control and tilde. The tilde, for anybody who doesn't know, is the key just below the escape button. And of course hit Control tilde again to exit. To open and close your sidebar or file manager here on the left, hit Control B. If you want to tab into your file manager to click on files and whatnot, you can hit Control Shift E. You can then use your up and down arrows to navigate. Then you can open folders and files by hitting Enter. You can also close a folder by hitting Enter on it. To close the current file, however, you have to hit Control W. If there's a little white circle at the top, that means your current work isn't saved, and because you're exiting a file that isn't saved, it will ask you if you would like to save it. When you have multiple tabs open, you can shift between them by using Control Tab. A really neat trick though is if you exit out of a tab, then you need to edit that file again, you can hit Control Shift T and it will bring up your files in the order that you exited them. The last thing to save time when selecting files is if you hit Control P, it allows you to search through all the files in your current directory and you can hit Enter to open whatever you want. Alright, now that we have some code up, let's get on to the code editing shortcuts. Just to throw it out there, since we're getting into code, there are of course a ton of VS Code extensions that enable shortcut snippets of code for all of the most popular programming languages and frameworks. So I do recommend using them, maybe not when you're brand new to the language, but once you've grasped it, they save an unthinkable amount of time. Alright, so once you have some code up, you can get a hold of an entire page of content by hitting Control A, which you could use to delete everything if you wanted. But you can get a hold of a single line by hitting Control L, and with that you can delete or replace the line, or you can hit Control L multiple times to grab more than one line, and use Control / to comment any code highlighted. If you only want to comment one line though, you don't actually have to highlight it, just being on the line and hitting Control / will do. Another cool thing you can do is highlight a word you want to change many of and hit Control D. It will then highlight the next matching word and you could change both of them. You can do this for as many instances as you want. You can then reverse and edit by hitting Control Z, that's called an undo. You can then do a redo by hitting Control Y. But we love tacos, so we're going to change this back. Now let's say you have a massive document where you want to change a bunch of the same thing, but don't want to hit Control D a bunch of times. You can highlight something, hit Control H, and replace things with this little window up here. You can replace every instance of something by clicking the button here. You can also use a similar window to find things with Control F. It will allow you to search things in your document. You can then traverse your document by hitting Function and Up to go to the top of the page, Function and Down to go to the bottom of the page, Function Left and Right will take you to each end of the line you're on, and you can use the Shift Left or Shift Right to get a hold of some text in a file one character at a time. Once you have what you want highlighted, you can then copy it by hitting Control C and paste it with Control V. If you want to cut instead of copy, highlight your word and hit Control X, then of course paste with the same Control V. We are all guilty of getting code from Stack Overflow, so being able to quickly copy and paste is very nice. But honestly, what saves you the most amount of time is not having to reach down to the mouse every time you want to enter down to the next line while being somewhere in the middle of a line. You can do this by hitting Control Enter. Once you're done editing a document, you can save with Control S, but if you want to save as, you can hit Control Shift S. And finally, the mother of all shortcuts in VS Code, Control Shift P. That will open the command palette and you can type in anything you're looking for. If you're stuck, more than likely you can find what you're looking for in here. And last but not least, if you want to open your settings with a shortcut, you can hit Control, comma. And with that, you have every shortcut I try to use to save time when coding. There's definitely a lot of shortcuts that I missed though, so if you know of any useful ones, let me know them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this type of shorthanded content, leave a like, share it with someone else who will also find it useful, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out.